I was at an appointment yesterday. Existing client of mine. I went back because the day was just going awful. I'm like, everyone's rude. I'm starting to be rude back to them. Like, let's just find someone who I know they're social. They know me. We're gonna get somewhere if I get in their house. Turned into a great Medicare opportunity. Got him into a Med Sub. Switched the wife's Med Advantage around, and he comes out with a beer. And it turns out someone in his family has a microbrewery up north of Philadelphia. I'll go grab it off camera in a second, but he shows me this Fegley Brew Company beer, 10% alcohol by volume. He's like, you want to have it? I'm like, I want to get home safely. Like that would kick my butt after a full day in the field. But it was just fun to be like in an appointment, and all of a sudden they bring out some family brewed beer that wasn't moonshine, was actual beer.
Hey, you know what? To me, that just tells me that you're doing a good job, because that means that the client is comfortable with you. They like you. They trust you. And you made a new friend. I mean, if you can make a new friend, they're going to stick with you. You know, they're not going to jump from one place to the next to the next. They're happy with what you did for them. They appreciate you. And they're probably going to tell everybody that they know about you. So it's a good job.
I think this is episode 6 of the Double Play podcast, and while we were posting videos a little bit behind in time, I learned something interesting on vacation. You can't post YouTube content from a Hilton hotel. I don't know if it's the Wi-Fi, I don't know if it was me. I'll blame somebody else but myself. That's what a lot of agents do. But we still got the videos posted for you guys to watch. And we're glad to be here today talking about one of my favorite topics, getting ready to get ready. Adam, I put my goal together. I bought my leads. I've contracted with 82 different companies. I've read every single agent guide, but I'm just not ready yet. I'd like to continue. Just get ready to get ready. And then maybe in a couple months, Adam, I'm ready to sell. That's today's topic. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I see it all the time. And I've talked about it. People that come on my trainings every week. And I mean, I call them professional students. It's like they just can't get up and running. They're so focused on wanting to make sure they have everything just perfect. And to me, it's like, well, for one thing, if you're in a home and you have a presentation to do, your clients, they don't know your presentation. They don't know if you're messing up or not. I mean, the best way to learn a presentation is to go out and try it and fail. And I mean, figure out what works, figure out what doesn't, and just kind of go from there. But you can't just continue to just sit around and just say, next week I'm going to be ready. I had a guy once buy 80 leads and never went out and worked them. He had these leads just sitting around. They got actually more than a year old. And finally, one of my managers went out and took the guy out and worked with them. It was like, then he was able to go out and work if someone was holding his hand, but just going out, he just couldn't get through it. And I don't know. I'm not like that. Like I said, I mean, it's just a matter of going out and doing it and figuring out what works and figuring out what doesn't.
I'll tell you, I was in the car, and it was Wednesday, my first day in the field this Wednesday, like 2 days ago. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I'm nervous. Do I remember how to do this? I'm like saying the presentation to myself. Do I know what it's like to knock a door? Are they going to buy from me ever again? And what happened? I walked up to the first appointment. The guy was standing there, door open, come on in. Bought a $130 a month Baltimore life policy with almost no objections. How many agents sat in their car or sat in their bed or sat in their home and never went out to see that simple sale that was ready to purchase from me that I went out and saw? You know, probably countless amount of agents, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's so much business out there, and people like to blame the leads all the time. Oh, man, these leads just weren't any good. You know, had a whole bunch of people just mean and nasty, or people weren't home. I mean, this whole thing is trial and error. Nothing's going to happen overnight. You're not going to reach everybody the first time you go out. Honestly, I think the hardest day out in the field is the first day you get your leads. I think it gets easier after that. To me, it's like putting a puzzle together. I mean, it's a lot of trial and error, figuring out when people are home, figuring out when they're not. If I have a ton of leads, sometimes I'll sort them. Let's say I have 40 leads to go work. I know I'm not going to be able to hit all 40 during the day. I might maybe pull the older people out and work those first. So
Mhm.
like the 65 and overs, because I know that they're going to be more than likely they're going to be home during the day. And
Yeah.
then the younger people, there's a chance that they're working during the day, and I'll hit those later on. Uh, so yeah, like I said, I think it's good to have a plan in place. It's good to have the leads. I know we've talked about that this year, just kind of having to kind of get prepared and get ready to get out there and work, and be consistent with placing those lead orders.
I wrote a quote down for my training this morning. It's a Walt Disney quote. Ironically, just went on a Disney cruise, and it said, "The way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing." If Walt Disney believed that, that's another example of success leaving clues. Stop freaking talking and go talk to old people about dying, and guess what'll happen? You'll get better and better and better, and before you know it, you'll be the agent that you had the capacity to be.
You're right. And yeah, I've seen that quote before. It's funny. I was listening to an audio yesterday, kind of talked about the same thing. Uh, what's the point of just sitting around and just talking about how great everything's going to be? Sooner or later, you just got to get up and go out and do it. It's not. There's never a perfect time to really get started with anything. You just got to jump up and sometimes maybe take some risks and just get out there and do it.
But I don't have my CRM put together yet. I need to design, purchase, and prepare the best CRM so I can document all of my clients. Adam, I'll start next week after I shop around for a good CRM. You've heard that one
Yeah,
before?
that, and I don't have my script ready yet. My
Mhm.
script isn't perfect. Um, and my kids, I need to find someone to pick my kids up from school at 2:30 in the afternoon because my wife is working. Uh, I mean, there's just, again, we talk about it all the time. There's just so many excuses out there of reasons why people are not working when they need to be coming up with more excuses why they should be out working. So, but again, I don't know. To me, it's a mindset. It's just a mentality. Maybe not everybody's cut out for this business. Maybe
Yeah.
people need that 9 to 5 job where someone is telling them this is when you got to be to work every day. This is
Mhm.
what time you can go home. Some people just cannot handle that independence, and I've seen it. I mean, I've seen agencies even. There's an agency out there. This one company where they bring their agents in, they put them on the phones to set up appointments. They have a pretty set schedule, and those guys do pretty decent while they're there. But what I've noticed is that when they leave, they can't handle the independence. They're so used to somebody telling them this is what time you have to be here, this is what you have to do, and this is when you can go home. If they just kind of paid attention to the things that they were doing, they could do that themselves if they really wanted to,
Yeah.
and probably end up making a lot more money.
The structure is supposed to be teaching you how to do things on your own. It's not supposed to be.
Decent while they're there. But what I've noticed is that when they leave, they can't handle the independence. They're so used to somebody telling them this is what time you have to be here, this is what you have to do, and this is when you can go home. If they just kind of paid attention to the things that they were doing, they could do that themselves if they really wanted to,
Yeah.
and probably end up making a lot more money.
The structure is supposed to be teaching you how to do things on your own. It's not supposed to be, how to be babysat for your entire life. Like the presentation that you're taught doesn't have to be said and wrote for the rest of your career. It's a guideline of how to continue the conversation once you understand how to put your own nuances into the conversation. But if you're sitting here on January 6th or whatever day this video is posted, and you haven't went out of your home or picked up the phone or whatever telesales or in person you do, and you haven't given a presentation yet, you have now created what I like to call a vacation routine. Like, screw trying to get better this year. You just need to get into the field, because every hour and every day that you don't get into the field, you're creating a new routine that's going to eventually lead you to a job, unemployment, complete failure. Like, stop for a second and think, if I keep doing this, thinking about getting ready to get ready, and I'm never ready, where am I going to be? And is that a place you really want to be?
Yeah, and again, I think I don't know. Sometimes people, they like I said, I think they fear failure. And we've talked about that on a couple of our past episodes. People that they
Mhm.
just they think way too much about the what ifs. What if I get out there and spend $800 on these leads and don't get anywhere with it? Man, that's a big investment. Well, if you think that way and you're thinking about the money that you're spending on leads, and that's your mindset in the back of your mind. There's a good chance you are going to fail on the leads.
Yep.
Because that's what you're thinking about when you're going to the door. You're thinking about getting rejected. When really, when you walk up to the door, I mean, heck, wipe your feet off and anticipate getting in the house. I mean, that's really the ultimate goal. Do whatever's necessary to get in the house. And again, it's just to me, I have more of an assumptive approach. I mean, when I'm out in the field, people are filling a card out for a purpose, and it's because they want to meet with me and because they need insurance. And I just think that you'd have to have that mindset. You can't think about the mean and nasty people that'll shut you down. It's part of the business. It's going to happen, but you can't let it hold you back either.
Yeah. I got a question for you. I just kind of came up with off the script here.
Yeah.
Being that you've been in the business for 20 years, many years of stability, consistency, renewals, and production, did you do anything during the Christmas holiday to still kind of keep your mind fresh, your business organized, your office clean? Like, what did you do to balance out family time, but still not let the business go to waste?
I mean, I took a couple of days off, but I mean, I was out in the field. I was running leads on the 23rd of December, which would have been a Friday. I mean, Saturday, Christmas Eve, I took off. Of course, Christmas Day, I wasn't working. I think I took off the day after Christmas, but after that, the 27th, it was back to work. And again, I mean, to me, I kind of have that mindset, and just I got to do whatever it takes to make money. And I'm not making money if I'm sitting around at home. I have spent a little bit of time the last week or so working a little bit more on social media, purchased some new microphones and little things like that. But to me, that's all to help with my business.
Yeah.
So, a time that's not out in the field, to me, it's still profitable, or it will be in time. So, and again, I mean, when I was building an agency for years, it got to the point where it was difficult to get out in the field all the time. I mean, yeah, I'm sure you know how it is. You have people calling you all the time with questions, trying to figure things out, and that's what we're here for. We got to be able to help agents when they need our help. But I mean, I think I do a pretty good job with balancing work. I mean, the last couple months, it's been a little bit different, to be quite honest. My family's used to me being home. So being out in the field a lot more, it has been a little bit different. I was away for 3 days in the middle of December, and a little bit different than in the past when I traveled, because usually when I'm not traveling, I'm home most of the time. But now it's like I'm out in the field so much, and then I was traveling. My family, kind of works both ways. I mean, they miss me and I miss them. But I mean, at the end of the day, that's who I'm doing this for. So, I mean, I hopefully they understand that.
I got a good one then from that conversation. Do you feel like agents that sometimes succeed and sometimes fail kind of comes back to their level of engagement with their family? Is their spouse on board? Does their family understand the business? Do they take the time to explain, hey, this is why I'm doing this. This is where we're going with that. Do you think agents succeed or fail based off of how supportive their family might be?
I don't know. I think it could work both ways. I think that there's a lot of people out there that are used to the typical 9 to 5 salary position with benefits. Some people don't understand that this is not that. I mean, you're an entrepreneur, you're a 1099. You're not an employee of any company. You're basically running your own business. One of my managers in the past, actually, my prior company, we were actually employees of the company. And I hired one of my managers, and it was just kind of funny. When I hired him, he said, "This is the first time my mom has actually treated me like I have a job, because I'm now getting a salary with benefits." He's like, "I'm out there working hard and writing all this business and earning lots of commissions, and she just tells everybody that I don't have a job." So I think that maybe there's people out there that just kind of have that mentality that if you don't have that salary position, that you don't have a job. Uh,
Hmm.
so I think it can work both ways. I mean, I think if the spouse can see the profitability of what could be, uh, yeah, to me, it just really depends on each individual. Uh, like I said, I mean, some people are just so used to the typical 9 to 5, and they just can't get over that.
Next question for you this morning. Do you feel like it's too cold to go to breweries? And is there any kind of specific winter beer that you like?
Um, it's never too cold to go to breweries. um, you know what? I used to mix it up a little bit with the different beers that I drank from summer to winter. I
Hmm.
used to drink maybe heavier beers in the winter, but then I'd also be putting on about a good 10, 15 pounds in the winter. So uh, I stick with light IPAs for the most part. Uh, Gumball Head by Three Floyds is probably my number one that I
Mhm.
drink is kind of like my regular beer. It's good in the summer. It's good in the winter. It's not too heavy and it tastes good. How about yourself?
I was at an appointment yesterday. Existing client of mine. I went back because the day was just going awful. I'm like, everyone's rude. I'm starting to be rude back to them. Like, let's just find someone who I know they're social. They know me. We're gonna get somewhere if I get in their house. Turned into a great Medicare opportunity. Got him into a med sub. Switched the wife's med advantage around, and he comes out with a beer. And it turns out someone in his family has a microbrewery up north of Philadelphia. I'll go grab it off camera in a second, but he shows me this Fegley Brew Company beer, 10% alcohol by volume. He's like, "You want to have it?" I'm like, "I want to get home safely." Like that would kick my butt after a full day in the field. But it was just fun to be like in an appointment and all of a sudden they bring out some family brewed beer that wasn't moonshine, was actual beer.
Hey, you know what? To me, that just tells me that you're doing a good job because that means that the client is comfortable with you, they like you, they trust you, and you made a new friend. I mean, if you could
Mhm.
make a new friend, they're going to stick with you. You know, they're not going to jump from one place to the next to the next. They're happy with what you did for them. They appreciate you, and they're probably going to tell everybody that they know about you. So good job.
And you know what was interesting too? I just went to their address, not looking to sell something, not trying to add coverage, just looking to like little confidence back in the day, and just to see what would happen. And then when I get into the home, I find out there's a med sub opportunity, and I couldn't have butchered this conversation more. Like I said to the people, look, I have probably over explained this to you. I probably aren't making myself perfectly clear on this, but hopefully you're picking up what I'm putting down here. Like if today's topic was getting ready to get ready, man, I ruined that conversation. But I still was able to get him to pick a Medicare supplement because of trust, rapport, the general concept made sense. Like the pitch was not very good. So to those listening today, you don't have to be perfect each time, but by getting out there and continuing it, you'll still make sales even if it wasn't very good.
Well, yeah, I mean, the longer you do it, the better you're going to get at it. It's just repetition, just like anything else. I mean, if I'm at the driving range, the first few balls I hit might not be great, but the more balls I hit, the hopefully the better my swing's going to get. The further the ball goes, the more accurate I hit it. So again, it's just practice makes perfect. But
Mm-hmm.
practice doesn't mean sit at home and practice. You can practice in front of your leads.
Yeah.
You can practice in front of your leads and make sales. Like I said, they don't know your presentation. They don't know if you're messing up or not.
Mm-hmm.
And if you mess up, again, that's self evaluation. Figure it out. Get back to the car. Figure out what I did right. Figure out what I did wrong. That way, next time maybe I'll be able to turn those same situations into sales.
So in that vein of conversation, there comes a point in time in a career. I wanted to talk baseball for a little bit here, where a player has gotten past his peak. He was a young player, got a major league deal, was good, got a free agent deal. That free agent deal has run its course, and it's kind of turned into the back end of the career. The Cubs recently signed Eric Hosmer. That's kind of who I'm hinting at right now. What did you think of that signing? And what do you think of those baseball players that aren't done yet, but they're really not the guy they were 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Well, honestly, it's got to be pretty difficult on the player. I mean, they're used to the way that they're treated when they're in their prime.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll get back to that in a minute. But Hosmer, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I really don't know what to expect out of the guy. I mean, if that would have been a signing, like, well, I mean, we had Rizzo at the time, but if it would have been a signing like back when he was just a free agent after the Royals, maybe it would have been a little bit different. But I mean, look at the deal he got with the Padres. I mean, again, we've talked about that too, living up to your contract. He got paid a lot of money with the Padres. And I mean, honestly, I don't feel like he really lived up to that contract. Jason Hayward with the Cubs, kind of the same thing. I mean, I think this would be the last year of his deal, and they cut him basically in the middle of last season, said, sorry, we don't need you anymore. They're still paying him right now. He's getting paid to sit at home. So, I mean, I feel like, I mean, I'm sure it's difficult on the player. It is, again, when you're getting that kind of money, fans don't really understand the pressure of the player trying to live up to that contract. Jake Arrieta, I mean, another one. I mean, got a Cubs World Series pitcher, threw 2 no-hitters with the Cubs, went on, played with the Phillies for a little bit, and then just kind of moved around a little bit, came back to the Cubs, and he just was not the same guy. And I think he knew it. And he finally just said, you know what, I'm done. And now I think he's got a podcast or something.
Hey, not a bad way to go when you don't have to worry about money at that point of your post baseball career. I think the Cubs did something interesting. They brought in a lot of those kind of over the hill, kind of not quite superstar kind of players to kind of put a competitive team on the field and see where it goes from there. Like, there's the kind of situations where a team will sign a player knowing he might work out well and we trade him. He might work out well and we work out well. He might not work out well and we just plain cut them. But there's a lot of nuance to team development. Like, this time of the year, we're not seeing the Bryce Harpers and the Trey Turners and the Dansby Swanson sign. We're looking at a lot of filler that's going on these rosters, minor league players, 1-year deals, things that might work out, but they really don't expect them to, but they have to fill a major league roster.
Yeah, and it's surprising. I saw a stat yesterday. The Cubs have gained, and this is just a stat, the Cubs have gained like the most wins on paper this offseason. I think the Dodgers, they said, have lost the most. Like the Dodgers are on track to lose like 12 or 13 more games than last year. I mean, we have Bellinger now that was from the Dodgers. What's that? Turner signed with Boston. So they lost
Phillies.
him too. Or was it the Phillies?
Yeah.
Or not Turner. Who am I thinking of? Justin. Was it Justin Turner?
Justin Turner.
Justin Turner is who I was thinking of. Justin Turner signed with Boston. So yeah, they lost some guys. I mean, it's this. I don't know. Baseball is just weird. I mean, you could maybe really turn things around quickly just with a few good signings, but you can't just buy a team either. I mean, the Cubs tried that in 07 and 08, where they went out, they bought some pretty big contracts. Alfonso Soriano was a big signing at the time. Everybody's like, man, the Cubs are going all the way. They had a great team. They made the playoffs and they couldn't win a playoff game. So, I mean, to me, again, we talk about consistency. Well, it's more than just finding those big time signings. I mean, you got to collaborate as a team. You got to build those relationships, and you got to gel as a team.
I agree. I mean, you could be the best team on paper, but how many times have the White Sox had an outstanding roster, but it just didn't work? Like, it almost didn't make sense. You had the Chris Sales at his peak of his career. Like, so many good situations where this team should be good, but they just never, ever come together. Like, the White Sox are the perfect example of that.
Last year, I mean, the White Sox on paper, they were predicted to come either in first or second place in the American League. And I think they barely finished over 500.
Could you imagine Tony La Russa? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't imagine. I mean, the heartbreak as a fan when you're expecting the team to really be something. And I've been there. I'm a Cubs fan, but it's tough when you expect your team to really to be something, and then it's just a letdown. So I'm looking forward to maybe finally getting back to watching some Cubs games this year.
Yeah.
Took the last year off. I was kind of like on strike after they got rid of everybody. It was like a bad breakup,
Yeah.
but they're showing signs that they care and that they're trying to improve. So I'm thinking about maybe getting back together with the Cubs.
Did the Cubs do spring training in Arizona or in Florida?
They're in Arizona.
There's a perfect reason to go to Arizona then. Get back with your team and go see your team in Arizona.
Hey, I wouldn't mind it. I mean, I definitely wouldn't mind getting out of the cold for a few days.
Yeah.
So
I'm very tempted to go see the Phillies in Florida, but I have the KSKJ Puerto Rico trip the same month, and there's only so many places you can go in a month without taking away from the necessities of life,
Yep. So now, Chris, you're still out working leads every day, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I was in the field this week, worked Wednesday and Thursday, wrote about 12,000 in premium, wrote 5 Medicare Advantage plans, which is my goal consistently on the MA side, and doing cleanup on the agency side today.
Now, I think you've probably seen, well, I think you might have been on my training call the other day where I just kind of talked a little bit about putting a plan together
Yep.
for this year. And to me, so much of this is just breaking down numbers. How are you when it comes to that? I mean, do you keep track of a lot of those things when it comes to like the number of sales that you make, how many leads that you're usually working on a regular basis, your closing percentage? I don't know. To me, I am to a certain extent, but I've also kind of felt like you don't want to overanalyze this thing either. Sometimes
Yeah.
I feel like maybe there's some agents that overthink things a little bit. They think
Ooh.
way too
Yeah.
much about how much money they're spending on leads. And I also got to buy gas, all this driving I'm doing. And I spending money on lunch every day. Like they overanalyze everything. But when it comes to just the basics, I mean, what do you do? I mean, do you have like a plan put in place for the year as far as where you want to get, what you want to do?
Yeah. So there is definitely a fine line between knowing your important numbers and knowing too many numbers. I remember, and I tell this story frequently, and your training on Monday or Tuesday was quite on point with this. I met a guy, had the great charisma. Like he played on stage in Atlantic City, amazing guitar player, knew the presentation, bought leads, but he overanalyzed the business. He brought me over one day. We're at a team event. And he says, "Chris, come look at my spreadsheet." I'm like, "Oh no. Oh no, you have not written nearly enough business to have a spreadsheet." And he's excited, and I don't want to step on his, like, break his new toys and make him upset. And he shows me the spreadsheet, and Adam, it's color coded. It's literally like I've never seen such an in-depth spreadsheet. He literally built out a CRM on Google Sheets, and in that moment, I knew he had failed. Like it was so sad because eventually he did. But he was like learning, he had decided how much money he would make off of Betty Johnson in month 32, assuming Betty never kept her policy. Like, stop. It's too much. Here's what I do. I buy 25, 30 leads a week if I'm in my home territory. I've got all the leads from all the weeks from all the years prior to that. I've got a weekly goal. My minimum goal is $5K a week in final expense, which there it is. I write down on my notepad that I keep in the car. I've got my 5 Medicare plans that I want to write. And every time I write them, I write down the app and I scratch that goal down. So my first application of the week was for $135 a month. That means I only needed to write 282 and so on and so forth and so on and so forth. And I keep track of who I've written and when I've gotten paid on the same legal pad. That's what I keep track of. How much AP, which is based off my goal, which is based off of my bills. How many leads that I buy, and I buy them consistently, no matter how much I sold last week or how much I didn't. And I just keep that level of consistency up. I couldn't tell you what the heck my close ratio was. To me, it's irrelevant. It's app count, it's AP. If I didn't close but one, but that one was still 417 a month, I'm satisfied. Unlikely, but I'm satisfied. I'm not too worried about what my show ratio was. I just need to show myself to more people. I'm not too worried about what my set ratio was. I just want the appointment setter to put names on my calendar, and I'm going to figure out the rest. I'm not too worried about what my lapse ratio is, because I know if someone falls off, I'm going to go see them. And if I can save them, I will. And if I can't, it wasn't my fault. Like, I'm just worried about getting in front of the next person and the next person and the next person, and the rest will work itself out.
Oh yeah, I like you do it very similar to the way I do it when it comes to like you said. I mean, you focus on like a number of monthly premium that you want to do for the week, and of course, that's going to kind of show you how much you're going to do annually. And yeah, I do the same thing. I mean, I'd like to write $500 of monthly premium a week, so that's 100 a day. And 100 a day, I mean, that would get me to 6,000 in premium for the week. So, and I always tell agents that focus on a number, whether it's 250 or 500. 250 to get you 3,000 in premium for the week. So to me, that's maybe not a bad goal for a new agent who's just getting started, and then kind of maybe ramp it up to $500 a week, like I said, which would be 6,000 in premium. And if you're doing 6,000 a premium for the week, boy, I mean, over time, yeah, that's really gonna add up, and you're gonna have a pretty good year. But yeah, it all comes back to the consistency of ordering leads, and not just the leads, but going back and talking to clients. But again, just kind of having that mindset. I know I got to do that 500 in premium for the week, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to make it happen. If I run out of leads, well, I'm just going to have to figure out another way.
I'll share another one with you. This is probably not a good habit for anybody to follow, but it's something I've always done. I don't routinely check my bank account balance, because in my opinion, it's either going to make me lazy or make me angry, one or the other. I'll check it if I'm going to make a big purchase, but I know that if I've written $417 of monthly premium a week, then that money will go into my account. And because I know my bills and my budget, my bills will get paid. Like, it doesn't need to be micromanaged. I've written enough premium to put enough money in the bank to pay the bills. How much money is in there on a day-to-day basis isn't going to help me go out and sell more insurance today. It's either going to slow me down or it's going to slow me down. I've kind of worked the same mentality that I worked week 1 of 2015 as I've worked week 1 of 2023. I don't need to go to work next week, but I need to maintain that routine and that consistency. And that's how most agents either succeed or fail, I think.
Yeah, I like that. That's a great strategy. If you're looking at your bank account every day, you're right. You could get comfortable. You could get lazy. You got to remember that next week might not be as good as the current week that you're having. You just got to keep going. And again, the good days are going to make up for the bad. But you can't focus on, oh, I had a good week, so now I'm going to take a little, I'm going to slow things down a little bit. You just got to keep going. We don't know what tomorrow's going to bring us.
No, tomorrow is literally not promised. And until you've built up until all of your big bills are paid by all your renewals, you don't get the entitlement to slow down. Like, you don't have PTO, you don't have renewals if you're new, you don't have overrides if you're new. You just have to keep working. One more example that I want to share with you, my 2023 goals. The month of June, I literally worked 4 field days, maybe 4.5, maybe 3. The month did not go as planned. Well, partially it did. I planned to take a week off for vacation. Wrote it down, had it scheduled. Everybody knew about it. And then I ended up having to go on a trip with Insurance Toolkits to Vegas. Kind of unexpected, but it's okay. And then I had a family tragedy and a friend tragedy. Like, I had to fly to Oklahoma and back in one day for a funeral. Like, the month just fell a frick apart. I worked maybe 4 days, but because I had worked consistently every week and every month and every year prior, did I have to worry about if the bills were paid? No. Did I have to worry if I could afford a flight or afford all that had gone wrong? No. Like, it was all there when you needed it to be, when everything was going wrong. So my question to those watching today is, wouldn't you rather manage everything that went wrong in your life knowing your bills were paid than have to deal with an emergency or a tragedy and then still wonder if you're going to pay the rent or the mortgage? Like, I don't want to be in that situation. Do you?
No. Again, I mean, I would much rather deal with the stress that comes from success than the fear that comes from failure. And that would be, again, if you're focusing on the what ifs, or you're getting comfortable, you can't. This is not the kind of business where you get comfortable. You just got to
No.
kind of keep moving forward, and like we said, focus on tomorrow, because or focus on today. Focus on today,
Yep.
because we don't know what tomorrow can bring us. So,
I
and sorry
could go
for
over my
the
goals.
stuff you had to go
You
through
just
last year. I'm sure that was difficult. I'm sure that made it tough to, sometimes, things, life events kind of happen that get in the way, and we kind of have to figure out ways to refocus, I guess.
Yeah. I wanted to go into my goals, but you just absolutely killed it with what you just said right there. Like, not only does comfort kill, but what did you just say? And you need to repeat that, cut it, and repost it.
What was that?
You said something about, I don't know. Let's rewind the whole video and play it again. It was just so shit. It was so meaningful, the fact that how important the business can be, to be consistent at the business. And I don't remember. It's in there. Just go back three minutes in the video, guys. You'll love it.
Just getting back to trying to figure out a way to just get back into the swing after things get in the way. Things happen. Life happens.
Absolutely. So it's in the video. Go back and watch it, and then we'll put it in the description, because it was the perfect way to wrap this video. I don't want to talk any more about goals. You just killed it right there, even if you forgot it. So here's the thing. Like the video, comment below, and subscribe to the channel. And if you're feeling adventurous, share it out to your friends on social media. We're growing our subscriber base. We're growing our technology-based cameras and mics and all kinds of cool stuff. And we're looking not just to talk about final expense or the senior marketer to sales. We talk about all kinds of stuff. It's life, insurance, and everything in between. And we appreciate you guys spending this time with us today. Like, comment, and subscribe. We'll be back again next week to do it again with you.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks a lot, Chris.